Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Metagame Minute, your once weekly follow-up after show to Chaotic Amateurs, iTunes and the internet's #1 D&D 5e podcast. Let's hit the ground running. I want to go reverse order around the horn, starting with Milo. So where we just left off, we're meeting a renowned monster hunter. You had some cool stuff with the researchers, some cool interactions with Strix, talking about the entity downstairs. What are your takeaways, and maybe any ideas for what's happening next?
I was thinking like the entire time we were talking to Strix was when should we tie him up? And then he went and pulled a dagger on himself, and I was like, well, apparently it was earlier that we should have tied him up.
Before that moment.
That was pretty clever thinking, I thought, on Alex's part, because he's like, "Oh, friend, okay." Uses again. I really appreciated that.
So yeah, that was something that I was considering like the whole time we were in that conversation. Yeah, I don't know what I was trying to get out of it. I was just curious if there was any information to really glean from him. He seemed pretty open to conversation, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just looking for the right combination to unlock what we wanted to know. Yeah, as far as the researcher guys, I'm glad they're here. Ball likes to be around people with a lot of knowledge, and these people are researchers like he is. So that's cool. Yeah, other than that, I mean, it was just kind of a little bit of a setup. I'm really curious about this Gaston guy. I have him in my notes as the good son, so hopefully he is a good person. But yeah, hopefully he can maybe help with this situation. I don't know. That's all I really got.
If you remember the movie The Good Son, he was absolutely not a good son.
I was just going to say, unless he's Macaulay Culkin.
It has nothing to do with this.
I ever saw, and that movie terrified me.
I know, me too. Caleb, what are your thoughts on everything? You had a pretty interesting idea, I think, going to try to speak with Ed, but if I'm not mistaken, you tried to do that before.
I may have.
After
it failed, I remembered, did I do this before?
Yeah, I think that's what reminded me too.
Yeah.
But what are your takeaways?
Scory has a hard time trusting anybody's true intentions. So a little nervous about these scholars, these quote-unquote researchers, that they are somehow magically immune to being tempted by this thing and taken over. Because apparently a guy who can't get charmed, was possessed in some way. So that's kind of at the forefront right now. I mean, poor Strix, luckily he seems to be okay right now, but and also kind of in the back of the mind is the fact that Scory, I think, went down there before Strix. And was that before we encountered the Kenku mess?
Yeah. Right?
I mean, for the most part, yeah. You
Zephyrus
met the
alive.
Kenkus before you showed up at the
So-
house.
Yeah,
But-
so I'm wondering, did they find the dagger after that or before that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so anyway, I feel like there's a potential for Scory being tainted. There's a risk for that, because if Strix, went down there researching and potentially was influenced, then I too have a risk of being influenced. So yeah,
So that was a thing that Ball was thinking in character, actually. But he immediately wrote it off in his mind as Strix is a kobold and has a weak mind, so of course he's the one that gets infected.
Yeah, I could never be quite as weak-minded as him.
Right. And I was thinking the same thing. And in fact, I meant to ask it in character as Strimmer, but I didn't. But we were talking about, going through all the plans with this entity. It was like, what happens? Whoops, sorry. If we do make a bargain with him, what can he bring Zephyrus back, or can he do this or whatever? And then I was like, well, if we're not going to do this, should we just burn this house down and freaking leave? That was the other idea. If you have a freaking nuclear, accident waiting to happen? Why are we just like letting it?
I don't think a fire or anything. There needs to be something more serious to deal with an entity like this, I think.
And you're not wrong. I just meant to bring that up in character because Strummer is not a complicated, person. He's thinking like, well, all right, like if this place is going to be dangerous, maybe we just burn it down and salt the earth and, put some Kenku around and just shoot anybody that walks too close to it,
If we could find out how the Magnuses imprisoned him.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, then then maybe it's worth exploring.
Yeah,
I'm totally fine with just letting this guy, the Gaston, deal with everything, and we just take off.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, I'm really
up there dead.
What?
Nothing.
By the way, your cousin's upstairs in your bed, dead.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
It's gonna be a tough one to sell.
I was really excited for Gaston to come in and then, Alex doing the accent and everything. It made me feel like an instant connection with Gaston, even though like I've probably never met him or anything like as Zephyrus rather. So I was really excited for that. I'm excited just to see like what sort of help he can lend us, what we can do for him, that sort of stuff. And then, Strummer, I was just having fun kind of like poking the beast a little bit. Strummer's like a hunter, so sometime and he doesn't necessarily have a sadistic streak at all, but it's like if the bear is in the trap, there's nothing to be worried about per se, so it's okay to ask questions of the bear, in this instance the dark entity. But maybe he should have known better, considering that they had already kind of meddled with that before and got bit a little bit, with Chamala. But then other than that, that's kind of where Strummer's at. So Rifferian, we didn't get to do the whole meditation thing really, which I kind of forgot about until the end, and I was like, oh wait, whatever happened with that? But so what's some of Riff's takeaway? One thing I want to point out, because I've been going back and listening to a lot of episodes and stuff like that while I've been working, it's kind of fun because for those who don't know, Bentley does the editing and things like that, and so he's in some ways he's kind of like the scribe of Chaotic Amateurs. He's like the living memory of Chaotic Amateurs, because I think he listens to it more than the rest of us, and that's been like Riff's role. Like a lot of like Riff shows up and he's like, all right, so we've been doing this and then we crossed the bridge and there was all these things and we do this and blah blah blah, and just like regurgitates everything that's happened. So I think it's kind of funny that like there's a little bit of like real life that kind of bleeds into Riff a little bit. Anyway, go ahead. What's Riff's takeaways?
To address that, since that's the first thing that you brought up, mainly Riff as a character / me as a player, I think you guys talk too much, and so I just do the info dump and go, here's everything that happened, now let's move forward, instead of let's barter for 35 minutes with this creature that clearly just wants to kill us all. So like Riff, that entire time that you guys were like, oh hey, I'll do this wisdom saving throw, and this Riff's just like flipping her chucks around, being like, okay, as soon as they're done screwing around, I'm going to get to the bottom of it in like 5 seconds. And
which like begs the question, because like I personally I have a lot of fun with this. I think like Dash and Milo are kind of having fun with it too. Like,
oh yeah, no,
you get a chance to like interact with this dark
as
entity
as a show and a product. It does not bother me at all. But as a player, and when I say a player, I always try to think from the character's point of view first.
Right.
Like, I don't mind sitting here listening to you guys talk. It's great. But I know that as an 11-year-old kid who's not a Mrs. freaking Zephyrus's uncle, you idiot. Mrs. Rafarian, you got a little portal drag there in your brain, bud. But I just know as like this, still, once again, as this 11-year-old kid, like I am so bored listening to you guys just like blah, 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 blah. It's like either I hit it, I punch it, I kick it, or we figure something else out. Like, it's just like, it's like, which is why, like, when I said that, I think to your character before, it gave, which I thought was a great pivot on, as well as on Alex's part. I was like, okay, so we got this thing that possessed our friend, and you want to screw around with it, or we could just do this and it'll be over. Like, that's just how the kid thinks, and
right.
And so,
no, I thought that was a good pivot, but that's kind of what I was working towards asking, is like,
Yeah, but like, like I said, in Riff's mind, it's like, God, like freaking run a mile to do something you could just like do by going around the block or whatever. Like,
right.
And then, but also like, I also know we haven't, as players, we haven't played in a while. So we're like, you guys were like in playtime RP mode. We were all getting back into it after like a couple weeks off and that sort of stuff. So, I mean, I thought it was a great episode. I enjoy listening to those things, and as being sort of the scribe, as you say, listening to the episodes, like editing them or whatever. Like I always try to give each person their moment. Like if you listen to the episodes, I try to find one moment where I can start a music cue on like what a player's doing, or if I know that they're going to have a big moment the next episode, then it's like I'm always trying to be very conscientious of like you'll hear there'll be like a little bit of a lull, and then dun, 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 and the music starts, and then like somebody else starts talking or whatever. I really do try to give like each character their own moments, but also I have a terrible memory. Like I just did the episode 25 that came out the yesterday at the time of this recording. And like I went back and listened to it and was like, "Oh right, oh yeah, all this stuff." I had no idea what we were doing, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, that's how we got to that thing. I forgot about that." Like it was me sneaking through the house for like 20 minutes. I was like, God, I go through like the first 20 minutes are just me, and I remember saying like, Caleb finally goes like, "So when do we show up?" I mean, yeah, when do my friends show up? Because like I don't like playing by myself. This is terrible. Yeah, no, it's good. It's fun. I'm very excited that Zephyrus is, and I thought it was very in character as well, to be like, as a little kid to be like, oh, now we can get the portal code and like, we can transfer back and we don't have to like portal to the town and then walk 2 hours back.
Keep on walking.
Yeah.
Dash had some fun moments.
Yeah,
with Strix.
That was some sneaky shit. I liked it.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's
so. Where are you at?
So that's some of my favorite stuff to do in D&D is like trying to outmaneuver the DM in a way where I put the DM in a philosophical, like maybe not philosophical in that way. Philosophical.
Philosophical.
I'm a philosophical guy. But in a like logic kind of like a logical kind of like twist.
You have to put them in a logic paradox.
Oh, dang. So that's like some of my favorite stuff, like cutting deals with NPCs is like so much fun. And even though like I'm a barbarian and that's not like trying to be crafty and like deceive is not my strong suit, I don't really care. That's what I like to do as a player. So I'm just like, I don't have a lot of charisma, but who cares? This is fun anyways. And I just think it's fun to try and like just go get a regular ass dagger and be like, yeah.
See, and again, it feels like you got the bear in the trap, so you're like, what would this bear give me? Let's see. Okay, bear, you want some food? Oh, look at your growling.
Yeah, like the classic saying, once the bear's in the trap, question it. Yep, I get it.
Also, I'd like to think Mr. Wolf,
how dare you turn my cool metaphor into a joke?
Sure.
It's like the old timey saying, once the bear's in the trap, questions
tease
coming,
it with food.
Here we go.
No, I thought throw beef jerky at it. No, I thought it was funny, like Mr. Wolf, like I could like how you kind of played it. It reminded me like I forget what show it is. It might even be Dwight on The Office during some point, but it's like, yeah, I'll go get this knife, and then it's like you're chuckling to yourself, like, what an idiot. Like you're saying it like as you're leaving the room to yourself, kind of, but loud enough that everyone's like, we can still hear you, man.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really cool because you've never really done something like that as Mr. Wolf before. It's been sort of more of like, oh, and I thought the cool thing too, like he was like, you could be a merchant of Bane, and you're like, well.
That's what I was gonna say. It made it kind of feel like in character because he's like, yeah, you could be the champion of Bane, and you're like, all right, let me go get the regular dagger. But I don't know if it was.
You're in my trap. Let me go get food.
Yeah, I also like to think that like even though being a barbarian and like deception and negotiating is not like my strong suit, I think because I'm like a zealot barbarian, it's a little different, right? Because I have this like strong religious belief, right? So I'm more about talking to people and using like communication and what have you. I thought the episode was a lot of fun. Yeah, I kind of just want to like fight that thing in the basement. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of where
Strummer
Wolf
kept
is
thinking the
at.
same thing. It
He
was
just
like,
Wolf is kind of like, I'm about to unlock this thing and just let's do this. Let's
Just imagine-
toe to toe.
Wolf got the axe and he's like getting ready to open the door, and Strummer, with the bow ready to go. We count it off. You open it up. I just start unloading. You charge in with your axe and we kill it.
Yeah. The other thing that I was trying to do with Strix is I was trying to like maybe get a message to him like through this entity because I wanted him to transform because he
I
does
thought that was good.
Yeah.
I wanted him to transform into like a fish or something, but I thought that just him like kind of coming to temporarily was probably better because then we would have just had like a fish in our hands, and that's hard to like
And once the fish is in your hands, you can't question it.
game's
You can't-
over.
you
As the
can't lead
saying
it-
goes.
Yeah.
And
Once
as
the fish is in your hands,
you
the
can't
game's
lead
over.
it to water.
A fish in
and
the
that's
hand
just-
is worth none in the bush.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, just like your dad taught you.
If you give a fish a knife,
Yeah, you'll teach it to hunt for years.
Does the fish shit in the woods?
Does the bear smell it?
Okay.
Yeah, does the bear in the trap smell it?
The bear in the trap smelling
Is the fish
in the wood.
is the fish Catholic?
So two Catholic fish walk into a bar. All right, I'm just messing.
There's a bear
Anyway.
bartender.
See, our audience is like our bear in the trap, so we could just keep going with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Brought it around.
Alex, is there anything that you wanted to drop? I love your moment to kind of get the accent going for Gaston.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was great.
And don't worry, I'll cut it
And then-
down
and
so
then I
you just
lost
seem
it.
like a hero.
Good, good.
You'll come in and it'll just have some nice, like, Cajun spicy music behind it or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I was debating whether they had the same accent or not, and I'm like, you know what, they do. They
Yeah,
have to.
I appreciated that. I thought it was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It gave me like an instant connection. I was like, family.
Yeah. I like that. They've got that accent, and I'm enjoying that he's here. I didn't think he was going to show up this quick. And he'll go into kind of some of his stuff in the next episode, but I'm excited that Gaston is here.
Cool. Anything we need to know about this entity? The way you were kind of describing it, I was thinking total like Lovecraft outsider status. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know if that's like kind of what you're going for.
I was thinking like an abyssal creature because of the way it spoke.
Yeah, and the plane that you guys were in was the plane of the abyss. Some abyssal elemental chaos plane. So definitely, yeah, you're kind of on the right track in that regard.
I was thinking like a mind flare,
Mhm.
but I don't know if they like need water. They're more like underground, so I kind of did make
Cthulhu
sense.
needs water.
Yeah, it's Cthulhu.
I do have the mini somewhere.
Could be Cthulhu.
mini.
No, it's
God,
not.
Dash, why are you negging me so hard today, bro?
But you're gonna end up liking me more.
Yeah, you're shirtless and negging me, dude.
All right, yeah, I know how to treat you.
Anyway, show's over. I'm on my way to Dash's. Just kidding. After the next episode. All right, let's get to the next one. Thank you all for tuning in to Metagame Minute, your weekly Chaotic Amateurs wrap-up show. Grab your sword, keep on adventuring.
Bye.